Okay, so I hope you have got this concept, okay, of interfaces which we discussed yesterday, and we discussed the various types of drivers, right? And I had made this class known as Selenium Basics, okay, which was launching the various drivers. All right, and in this class browser launch, we had launched the driver dynamically as well. You can use the WebDriver handle, the interface of WebDriver interface reference, and equate it to Firefox driver, Chrome driver, or IE driver, and you can move to the website and all, and you can fire the driver commands. All the three driver classes, they have the same set of functions, the functions which are there in the WebDriver interface. Okay, if you open the WebDriver interface, then if you open the Java documentation and if you move to the frames view, right, and this is the interface WebDriver, and all the driver classes, they implement this interface. Okay, so all the driver classes will have the same set of functions, right? Now let's move ahead. Right. Now, how will these functions be used? Suppose I write this command browser launch and I go to say gmail.com or any website, and after that I have to interact with the web page. Okay. I have to, you know, say there is a link, I need to click on that in automation. I want to write in a text field. So how do we do those things? How do you identify the elements on the page? Okay, so let us talk about that today. I will make a new project, day 4. Right, and I'll create a new class known as Gmail. Let's take a very simple example that you have to go to gmail.com and you have to write your email ID in the email ID field. Okay, so let us take a very simple example. Now to do that, the first thing is you need to understand, sorry, sorry, you need to understand the concept of objects. Okay, right. So out here, out here, uh, just 1 minute. This okay. This Webex, this Zoom thing actually disappeared for some time. Sorry. So out here, you have something known as web element. All the elements on the web page, all the elements on the web page are known as web elements. Don't confuse this with web element of QTP. Okay, if you know QTP or UFT, don't confuse it with that. Right. Web element of Selenium is different and web element of QTP is different. Alright, fine. So web element means any element on the page, whether it is a link, whether it is a button, whether it is a text field, anything, written text, anything on a web page is known as a web element technically in Selenium. Okay, and today we will learn how to identify web elements. I have not covered constructors. I will be covering them. Just be with me. I will tell you about constructors. I had missed them. I'll come over to that as well. Okay, if you look at this WebDriver interface, and if you look at You scroll down, you will find web element interface as well. Okay, if you go to this web element interface, and you will see that there are functions which you can use out here. These functions are generic functions which can be used with any element on a web page, like clear, click, find element, okay, get attribute, get location, get the text out of the element. Okay, so I'm not generalizing it out here. Okay, that will I use which one? Okay, but these will be important. Okay, these functions will be important in web elements, and we will see how you can use the web element interface. Okay, now to understand how to extract the element from the web page, how to interact with the web page, you need to understand how web page is made. All right, so basically, if you open any web page, if you open a browser and I visit any website, say I visit my website only, qtp selenium. So what happens is that Selenium works on page source. Okay, if you right click on the page, you will get the option view page source. Alright, and in the page source, you will have the HTML code. Many of you might be knowing little bit of HTML, and many of you might not be knowing HTML, but it's fine. I'll tell you. Look, this is the HTML code. You can also give 5 minutes to 15 minutes on any HTML tutorial on the internet. You will understand. Okay. Look, basically in HTML, you have got tags and attributes. For example, this div is known as a tag. Whatever starts with a conical bracket, whatever is in some reddish maroon color, okay, this is known as a tag. Okay, right. And tag has got one or more attributes associated with it. This div tag has got this attribute class. This is known as an attribute. This is the division tag, class is attribute. Okay, over here this is the image tag img. It represents an image which is displayed on the web page. Source is the attribute which tells you the location from where the image is being loaded, and alt is another attribute for this. So with the help of these tag names and the attributes, you go and identify the elements on the web page. Okay, and in throughout the training we will be doing this with this tag and sorry attributes. We will be identifying the elements. Okay, right. And if you use Firebug, or let me show you how you can use Firebug. First of all, you need to install Firebug. I'm sorry, you have to go to Google and type Firebug, Firefox, go to add-ons, Mozilla, alright, and this is a add-on which gets installed on top of Firefox. Okay, and you need to install it in order to investigate the page source. Every time you cannot go to view page source. All right, and in the page source you will have the HTML code. Okay, you will have the HTML code in the page source, right? But you cannot view the HTML code every time like this. You have to use Firebug. Okay, so if you use Firebug, if you install it, you can add to Firefox from this particular button, and it only installs in Firefox. How to investigate in Chrome and I'll tell you. Let me start with Firefox. Okay, so this is, if you add it to Firefox, this will be the icon on the top right side. You click on this icon. After that you will have a screen like this. Okay, in this screen there will be an arrow icon over here, right? You click on this and you move your mouse anywhere on the web page and you will see the page source of that page in the HTML tab. So that becomes an advantage out here. You can investigate anything, right? And you will get the page source for that element. Okay, right? Now, how to use Firebug and how to identify element and how to write the code. Okay, let us take a very simple example, that is, just a minute. Yeah, I want to go to, just hold on. Yeah, I want to go to Gmail, and after going to Gmail I want to enter my email ID field. Okay, so how do you go about identifying this email ID field? Right, to identify this field there are various locator strategies in Selenium. Okay, if you open the documentation of Selenium, then web element, as I told you, is an interface which represents a generic HTML element. Okay, a button is a web element, a link, everything is a web element. How do you identify a web element? That is defined by another interface which is known as, sorry, another class which is known as by. There is a concrete class by which has got mechanisms used to locate elements within the document. That means it's got mechanisms with which we can identify web elements. Okay, and everything in this class is static. You can refer it directly with the class name. For example, there is a function known as ID. If an element has an ID, you can identify it. You can identify the element or link with a link text, name, partial link text, sorry. There are various locator strategies over here. These are also known as locator strategies, mechanisms to locate the element on a web page is technically also known as locator strategy. Okay, there are various strategies with which we can locate the elements on the web page. If you identify any element, for example, I identify this text field. This text field has an input ID, sorry, input tag name, and you have the ID as email. If the ID attribute is present with any element you are working with, then you are lucky. It becomes really easy to identify the element if the element is having an ID. Okay, it becomes easy to identify the element if the element is having an ID associated with it. Alright, if you hold on, if you there's a question being asked. Yes, IDs are unique, are supposed to be unique. Okay, so IDs are supposed to be unique. If a developer is giving ID to the elements, then every element should be having a different ID in a web-based application. In mobiles, they are same sometimes, but in web-based applications, they are supposed to be different. Okay, right. Now, moving ahead, right. If you hold on. Sorry, my throat is not good from this morning, right? So over here in the code, what we do is that we write the code like this. I'll tell you on Firefox and then I will tell you on other browsers as well. Okay, right. So yes, I am recording the session. Right. Look, guys, there is one thing. Don't worry that how will I write my code on the other browsers. Technically, the page source, this page source will remain same on all the browsers. Okay, technically the page source remains the same on all the browsers. So you don't have to worry, right? And if you are writing a script, the script which I am writing over here, which I am going to write, I can make the script work on all the browsers without changing anything. Okay, don't think that if I have to click on a link on Firefox, then the code will be different than clicking on a link in Chrome. Okay, so if I write over here, okay, I've not included the jar files. Look, many of you might be knowing these things which I am teaching, but please bear with me because with as time progresses, you will understand everything. Right. So if I create the object of Firefox driver with the WebDriver interface, right, and I write over here driver dot get go to http gmail.com. Okay, that is reach Gmail. After reaching Gmail, I have to identify this text field. Now this text field is an input field whose ID is email. Right. So I will write over here driver dot find element by the ID email. This is how you write it. Oh, sorry, I had copied the Skype ID of Rana. Sorry. Email. Right. Now, what does this command mean? Gecko driver is in Selenium 3. It's for Firefox Vamshi. Just watch the module 11. In that I have told. Okay. I will tell you about Gecko driver in the next class. I will tell you. Okay, so out here, just 1 minute. Hema, is this you, H6Sena21, or I have added some wrong student in the batch? Just confirming, please confirm me. Okay, this is not you. I'll have to remove this person. So out here, if I write driver.find element by the ID email, what this find element command will do, if you check out the Java docs, then find element finds the first web element using the given method. It will go on to the page and it will try to find the element by which criteria. The criteria is specified by the by class. You have to write it in this brackets of find element by dot, and in the by class you have got all the locator mechanisms. Right now I am using the id because id is the most simplest one. So this command will go find the element and automatically it will return you the web element reference. Okay, find element command returns you the web element interface reference. Okay, right. I'm coming over to it, Rahul. If the element is not having an ID, what can we do? What are the other ways? Okay, I will come over to it. Fine. And you can write email dot send keys and you can put your email. Send keys function in web element is used to type inside a text field. You can fire many functions on a web element like clear. This will clear the value of a text field. Click will click on it. Okay, there are many things. Get text can get you the text. Right? Okay. So if I'm coming over to that point. Okay, I'm coming over to that fragment. Right. If I run this code, you will see that Gmail will open and it will read Gmail. Fine. Okay. Now I hope there is no network delay from my side because I think the internet is going a little slow. Okay. Right. Now if you use Chrome, then you will have to use Chrome driver, and if you use Chrome you will have to write like this. I just have to change this to Chrome driver. Now WebDriver interface is WebDriver interface is pointing towards the Chrome driver, and I have not changed the code. Right, and if I run this, right, so you see that it's working on Chrome as well, and it will work in I as well. Okay, if I use I gives issues. Sometimes you might face them, and sometimes you have got resolution for them, sometimes you don't have resolution. Majorly, as I was talking to Vikas as well that day, it's an issue because of the admin privileges. Mm, okay, in companies you need admin privileges to work with I and all. Okay, Arunima, that I'm going to tell you today. In some time, I am answering all your questions. Okay. So when you run this code, it will open IE and it's going to Gmail, right? Fine. Now you have to be a little careful. Okay, Gmail opens differently in IE, so you'll have to write a different code. Okay, right, because that page is not opening. Now this generally doesn't happen for all the websites. Okay, 99% of the websites they open in the same way across all the browsers. Otherwise, if they are opening differently, then you have to write a different code for every browser. Okay, right? You'll have to write a different code for every browser. Now there are few questions which are being asked. The first question is like sorry, Arunima asked that Firefox um, which version of Firefox should I use, which version of IE and Chrome. Look, Chrome you can use the latest version, right? For Firefox, if you are using Selenium 3, you can use the latest version. Okay, if you are using the stable version Selenium 2.53, then use Firefox 40. Okay, that will be good. I am also using Firefox 40. Okay, but Selenium 3 will give you issues and I will tell you those issues. I will use Gecko driver with Selenium 3 in the coming class and I'll tell you. Okay, right. Yes, ID will remain same across all the browsers, Vamshi, because the page source remains the same. You can install the next version, it will automatically get downloaded. Just go to Google and type Firefox older versions and you will get this website ftp.mozilla.org where you have got all the versions of Firefox present. Alright, so out here, hope you understand. Yeah, it will work, yes. Now, I'm coming over to your question, Geeta, just a minute. Now, another question which was being asked is, the question is asked through the chat. Okay, there's a chat option. You can also use that. Few people were asking me yesterday that how to use the chat, the questions, or you can speak up. You can unmute yourself and you can also speak up. Right? What if multiple elements on a web page have the same ID? This was the question. For example, if I am on a web page and I want to click on a link, this is a link on the web page, I want to click on it. This link has some ID. I identify the link and I write the same code driver.find element by the ID dot click. Right. Then what if there is another element and there is another element on the page which have the same ID? All of them say have the ID as say link 1. Every element has the same ID. Okay, then what will Selenium do? Look, Selenium, first of all, understand how Selenium scans the page. Selenium scans the page from top side left to right and it goes down like this. Okay. If there are two elements on the page with the same ID, then Selenium will use the first one. This one it will use. Okay, this element it will use and it will ignore the other one. If you want to use the other ones, we will talk about that in the coming classes. How to use the other ones. If you look at the documentation of find elements function, find element function, it tells you it find the first web element. Okay, it right, it will find the first element on the web page. All right, right. I9 and above, anything you can use, right? That will work with Selenium 2.53. All right. Now there was another question being asked. Hold on, what was the question? Mostly, yeah. Now, if I have got different browsers, then how will I identify the elements on different browsers if I don't want to use Firebug? This was another question, right? So, look, the thing is, first of all, if your application is supporting Firefox, then I would recommend you to use Firefox to identify the elements because the same code will work across all the browsers. If the application opens the same way in all the browsers, and mostly this is the case. Still, if you want to investigate, right, right, you need to, if you are using Firebug, you need to hit, just a minute, just 1 minute, let me close this eye. Just a minute. Yeah, if you hit, just let me refresh this. This is open since yesterday's class. Just hold on. It's not responding. Yeah. If you hit F12 of the keyboard, you will get this I developer tool. Okay. Wherein you will have the same arrow as Firebug and you can move the mouse over elements and you can identify the elements. Okay. Right. So, right. Ashish, as I told you, out here with Selenium 3 you can use the latest version, with Selenium 2.53 you can use Firefox 40. Okay, right. Now in I you have I developer tool. In Chrome, right, if I run the script on Chrome, it was working on Chrome, right? If you want to use Chrome, then in Chrome again you don't need to install anything, right? You need to right click on the element. Suppose I want to investigate this next button. So I will right click on this and I'll say inspect. It is already there and this element will be highlighted. The ID of this element is next and name is also next. If you have got a name with an element, then also it becomes easy to identify the element. So after entering the email, I can write driver.find element by the name. If an element is having ID or name, it really becomes easy to find the element. Okay, right. So but not every time every element will have ID or a name. What if it is not there? We'll talk about that. Okay, this is my next button. So I need to click on the button dot click. So everything is generalized in web element. Driver.findElement will always return a web element. Okay, so if I run this code, this will go and try to click on the button. Right, hold on Shrikant, I'll tell you. Right, so you see that it clicked on it. Right, so now Microsoft Edge is supported, but it's not working. Edge, don't try to automate Edge with Selenium, you'll face a lot of issues. Okay, right now at times what happens is that Shrikant is asking a question. If you write web element, you will get an error like this. You have to move the mouse over the error and you have to import the WebDriver web element interface. You have to import it. So all these imports you have to do. Okay, if I remove these imports, I will get errors. So you will have to import all of them. Import WebDriver, import Chrome driver, import the by class, import the web element interface. Okay, so you have to import all of them, right? Okay, if I remove them, I will get errors. Or if you have to import them in one go, you can hit Control, Shift and O of the keyboard. Control plus Shift plus O. Everything will be imported by itself. Okay, right? So that's the shortcut. Fine. Now you can use that now. You can use anything. Okay. Right. Now moving ahead, we saw how to identify the elements, how to install Firebug on the browser, how to do simple things, navigate and this that. Now what if the element is not having an ID? How will you identify it? Okay, so that we will do. We'll do that in the next class because I don't want to make it very heavy for you. Right. In the last class, I had made this script which could run on any browser. So I can copy this script over here as well, and now I can write it like this. So now I have equated my driver to null. I will open the browser of my choice. This code will open the browser, and then you can have the script which can work on any of the browsers. Gmail is not running on IE, but because IE opens differently, but in general I am talking that script to open the browser can be dynamic for every browser, and after that the code can be same. I just need to change my browser from here. So when we build the framework, we'll be writing the code like this. Okay, right. So it's designed smartly, Meenakshi, it will come to know. Okay, it's designed like that. That's why you are using it. Okay. So now the next thing. Few people were pinging me after the class. Okay, that they are having difficulties with Java language. Okay, there's a question to ask firstly. For every page, do we need to create a separate class or can we include complete flow in one class? It depends. It depends on the type of framework which you are making. This is a question which will be answered later on. This is a very generic question, right? So you will come to know. You'll come to know. Okay. Now you have the weekend with you. Okay, the next class will be on Sunday evening US time, which is Monday morning Indian time. Okay, so I request people who are having a little difficulty with Java to watch the videos from training video 1 to training video 7 as soon as possible. Okay, or even 6 will do till training video 6 or 5 if you watch it, that will do. Rather 1 to 5 will be more than enough, and after you log in, below the modules you'll have the exercises link. Just try to solve the exercises as well. Okay, Ashish. Right. So try to solve those exercises, that will help you. I am not giving you any exercise right now. I will start giving you. But right now on this weekend, whether you know Java or whether you don't know, log in into your account and at least do the exercises which are below the first 3-4 modules. That will help you. That's got multiple answer questions and few exercises. That will actually open up your horizon and it will be helpful in learning Java. Okay, so log in into your account and watch the first 7 modules of Java, or first 5 rather, 5 will be good, and try to do the exercises below the modules. Okay, right. So, no, the class timings, just